Sing claps from me, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah. Do you want to sing claps and lads,
Yeah.
Just sing clap there.
Well, I've got Simon, give me one. Leon. And Dave, you can put your hands there. Yeah. Great.
Great success.
It's quite harmonious, wasn't it?
All right.
Nice, yeah.
We good?
This is how you start all podcasts.
Wait till you see now mine. Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome, boys. It's been a year, and I promise it's not an annual thing, but you're very welcome back to the podcast. I'm happy to say I've got Leon here on my left, and I've got Simon here on my right, boys. Welcome.
Thanks very much, mate. Glad to be here.
I dragged you in eventually, thank God, off the streets. So you're here. Obviously, it's your first time on the podcast. You seem delighted to be here. We had great chats outside earlier. And I told you stop talking because we're not allowed to talk about film before we start because that's why we're here.
I actually have nothing else. I ran out of stuff outside.
That's grand. I'll just sign you out there and you can go now.
Yeah, alright, I'll go.
No worries. So, for those who don't know, Leon and Simon are both very passionate filmmakers, actors, directors, writers. They did loads of stuff for the last few years. I've been looking forward to having them on because I know the two of them get along very well as well. And you'll see that, trust me, because outside all we did was laugh and chat away. I think they like each other now. There's a bit of hostility there now since we started. There's like, whose ego's bigger?
That's it, yeah. Well, who's going to be the better guest? Like, you know
It was the whole coffee pouring thing. Let's just not get into it, alright?
Yeah, we had some job getting the coffee outside, alright, but we got there in the end. The boys
Do you mind
had
if
their
we swap
coffees.
seats, actually? Yeah?
Do you want to take over? We'll do it next season. You can have all the stuff. I'll give you all the praise. So, boys, introduce yourselves. I'll talk with Leon first.
Myself.
Go for it. We'll go clockwise.
Leon Danza, born and raised in Cork. I recently just finished the theatre and drama course, the bachelor's degree in the Cork School of Music. I started my acting though in Stefan Nefa. They do a little level 5 feet tack there with John Whitty. He's a legend. Shout out to John. I actually... Well, we won't get too deep into why I'm doing this and whatever else. I'm a Corkonian and I just got into acting.
We wouldn't take it with your voice at all, by.
That's it, I know, yeah. Well, actually, you'll be surprised. I was on holidays once in Spain, and while in a museum, I was admiring the art in my Cork accent, and someone came up and goes, "That's a Limerick accent anyway." And I goes, "Get out of my face. How dare you, Limerick, the fake Cork."
That is a bit of an insult, right, if you stand that.
And go on, Simon, let you go ahead
Simon,
there before I ramble.
What have you been up to?
What have I been up to?
Yeah. Who are you and what have you been up to?
My name is Simon McKeown.
Okay, then let's write that down.
Okay, if you... M-C-K-E-O-N. Everyone gets it wrong.
Yeah, that's fair.
So yeah, no, I studied film and television production in St. John's in 2011, 2012 and kind of just left there and started making... Left, I didn't finish it. Okay. And started making my own kind of films. Made a feature, short, and kind of just helped out people around Cork in the film scene. And then I decided to go back to college as a mature student, so I went to Stefan Nefa, where I studied under John Whitty. A shout out there to John Whitty.
There you go.
And now I'm also in the School of Music. I'm going into my 3rd year.
Nice.
So it's kind of like a copy and paste.
Well,
yeah, there's a bit of a theme going there between the two boys. No one get along so well.
I literally did the St. John's course as well.
Yeah.
The only difference is I finished it.
I'll just put
Thanks, Leon.
1-0 there to Leon. Leave that there.
Pretty low, man.
Well, I think because obviously before you came on, we'd known each other for years, and I looked at obviously you just finished Love and Information, and you've done Notes on a Disaster and all these. We were talking about what's the track? I've forgotten the full name. Sorry, no.
Christmas at Dracula.
Christmas at Dracula.
I forget it too, man.
No, because it was on. I watched it on YouTube for weeks ago, and it was mad seeing someone from Cork make a feature and put it on YouTube, and it was very long, and I did watch most of them, not gonna lie. It's just the last bit of it, it was like 2 a.m, I think. But I think it's cool to see like that. For me, that's where the real love of independent stuff comes from, when you're putting your own time and your own budget and your own creative aspect into something, so there's not this massive budget behind you, so that you're doing it because you believe that it's good.
Yeah,
I think it's obvious to see with stuff like Notes on a Disaster that there's a lot of planning that goes involved. There's a lot of rewrites because you want it to be as best it can.
Like, I remember, when I watch, obviously the pandemic has stalled the rest of the episodes of Notes on Disaster. We have our first 2 episodes there, but when I watch those and I watch The Milk Run, which is a short film I made, I'm very, very proud of them. But now looking back at Christmas at Dracula's, because I was quite young and that was the first thing I made, I'm kind of looking at it going, oh jeez, how do I do that differently now? Yeah. But there's a lot of love in it. Like, I could see everybody who was involved,
it's part of
it, really, really enjoyed making it, and even the people giving us locations were bringing their kids along to watch the shoot as we were shooting and stuff.
Yeah, that's good.
So I can watch and can go, you know what? Even if I look back at it now and think it's kind of shit at points, there's a lot of points I'm actually very proud of as well.
Yeah.
I still look at it and kind of go, you know what? There's a lot of love in that, so it's kind of nice.
You can feel the love, man. I mean, like, I felt like, I watched it like last week in the middle of summer, Christmas at Dracula's, and I felt like it was a Christmas time again, you know?
Yeah.
So it was kind of sweet, warm, and as you said though, Dave, it was
some
getting late
tissues
when I
for
watched
Leon
it. There you
please.
go.
And Conor Dwan is brilliant in it.
He is a great Dracula, reminiscent of, if you mix like Leslie Nielsen's Dracula with Christopher Lee's Dracula, he found the middle ground there, you know?
It's funny that we're talking about Dracula, the character. It's one of those roles that you can only do it justice if you have just so much fun playing the role. They did, the writers of Sherlock released like their own take on Dracula there last year. Brilliant. And the actor who played him is an actor called Klaus Bang. And he's having so much fun and he completely nails it. But then you look at like Christopher Lee and Bela Lugosi, it's very much a presence thing.
Yeah.
And they're taking it very, very serious. I think it's one of those roles that you can only do it justice if you have fun playing the part. Because I mean, like, he's a vampire who's been around for 8. Just have fun, like.
That's it.
And Connor had so much fun playing it. So.
And you can tell.
I can imagine it's a lot of fun for an actor, yeah, because you can just lose yourself in it, and there's nothing you have to do specifically to make the character. Like, there's nothing consistent that someone has done with the character before that you have to do now to make it good. You can just lose yourself in the character.
Your man Klaus Bang, he took it from a whole new direction. He took like Dracula from the direction of like a drug addict. He was addicted to blood, and his behaviour would be shaped by that, how he would get it, and how an addict would get their drugs. Like, in a sense, you start off by trying to be charming in a way. Or how do I get it the soft way? But it's then when his thirst starts getting seriously thirsty, you can see that addict come out in him when he gets a bit fucking mad. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's kind of.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Sorry, it's kind of like his victims are people who have the drugs, and he's trying to charm them to get their drugs for free.
Exactly.
That's
and then when he can't get it for free, he's I'm gonna take these drugs.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Great name as well, Klaus Bang.
Klaus Bang. Oh man, he should be James Bond, man.
So because I watched that, I watched Love Information. Sorry, Notes on Disaster. I do want to ask you because it's great when I watch it. I see so many people that I know and so many people that I know of in it. It's a big Cork scene. I see so many people, even if it's just a small like there's that scene at the beginning where you're in. I think did you film it in St. John's?
The opening scene is filmed in St. John's. Yeah.
Because I've seen so many people. There's a scene where there's loads of different acts in the crowd, and I could recognise everybody in there. I think it was just great to see that there's something. Because you know, in Cork, you might hear of a film that's being made, and you might know 2 people in it, and you might know 1 person in the next one. You might know 3 people. This was like something that was like the Avengers. Everybody coming in, and every single Cork actor was in it. And I was like, I just thought it was so cool to see. Except me, obviously, I wasn't in it.
Hey man, we might win a second season. You never know. Like.
I've seen so many people that I've gotten to know over the last few years. It was just cool to see, and I think it's really. I love the way it's written. I love the dialogue between you and the other main characters.
Dylan Mangan. Yeah,
I think those two. I think the 2 of you go so well together. I think the dialogue is great together, and it's really well shot as well. And you can tell. I can tell just from an outside perspective, you put a lot of effort. And did you probably rewrote it quite a few times as well?
Actually, we didn't.
Right.
We kind of went with on the day. Obviously, sometimes you plan out a scene, and then like at the 11th hour when you're on set, maybe one of the actors is late, or maybe you have to like change a scene. We've done that maybe like a few times, but by and large, it's probably like 80% as per the scripts are written. So
that's cool.
Quite happy. I do improvise my lines a lot, and that does kind of piss everyone else off.
Really?
But, I think when you wrote the script, you can get away with doing that.
When it's your gig, you can do what you want. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, it's because I've seen that, and then obviously you've recently done one of the rare bits of theatre that's going on even in Ireland at the moment because of COVID, which was Love and Information, and you had to record it and show it up online. How strange. Like, because I know, because this, like, if I asked you what the difference was between film and theatre, you can name 1,000,007 things.
Yeah.
There's maybe different approaches when you're doing like table reads or if you're practicing in rehearsals. I can't imagine a scenario where anybody knows what to do when you're performing as a theatre actor for camera. Like, how did you balance that out? Was there any bit of kind of direction from your teachers, or was it just like do what you can?
Yeah, like there was, and like. Fair play to Regina because she was working on her feet. This was a whole new medium to her as well.
That's what I mean, yeah.
And like when people talk about film acting, they say it's all about the moment, be in the moment, right? And you can kind of take our time around the set and kind of feel our way into it. But with us, it was so tight and rigid with the COVID protocols. You're in here for a half an hour and then you're out. So when you came in to do your scene and you stepped inside that big metal box, it was like turning on a light switch, which is in my mind a very unnatural process. I kind of have to feel my way, mould myself into the character and into the scene, not go on and go, switch, boom, I'm someone else. That felt very false to me, very machinated, you know. It was, to be honest, it was enlightening in the way that come in, be ready, be on, which is kind of what you need to be sometimes, rough and ready. Like, but at the same time, it wasn't necessarily a favourable process in my mind. You know, I like the time, I like to feel out the space, and you could see it. A lot of actors went in there and they just were like, I'm in performance mode. All I have is the capacity to do two-dimensional acting right now, and I'm guilty of it myself. I'd say there's one scene in particular in Love and Information where I can see in my eyes there's nothing, because I went in and I said, just fucking get the lines done and get the fuck out.
Yeah.
There was no time to feel the space. You're like, fucking hell, okay, there's a global pandemic. I have to come in and get my temperature checked, fucking make sure my hands are sanitised, make sure I'm not standing too close to anyone. And then when I'm in the fucking box, I'm
Distant
from my partner. I couldn't even look. I was playing like the lover of someone, and I couldn't even look at him. I couldn't touch him, nothing, you know. And I know there's this like radiating your energy and connecting with someone through body language. But when you can't even lock eyes, man, that's tough. That's tough to connect to something that's invisible. Do you know what I mean? Like,
because I like this pictures I've seen. The set design looked unbelievable. It looked really good, and I remember thinking, geez, it would be great to sit and look at it like in the flesh and see it happen. Yeah, and I understand that, like, I know you're trying to perform, and obviously COVID, you're trying not to catch it, you're trying to be distant. That it does wear it. It does take everything. Because if you wanted to put as much effort as you would into a performance, you would have been focusing on nothing but the performance the night before, if not 2 nights before.
exactly.
The last thing you want to be worrying about is not anything else outside it, but just you want to be immersed in that character a good bit before and not be worrying about COVID, sanitizing, distancing. And yeah, but I think from what I seen, you seemed that you put your absolute all into it. It looked like everybody that was in it. I know some people in that year that were in it, and it just looks like you put your absolute all to it. And I have to credit, because there's not many, there wasn't, well, at the moment there might be stuff starting up, but back then there really was nothing going on. Because that was like the middle of, like, we couldn't go outside 5K when that was being played. I remember being filmed, because I remember I was working full time, and I remember coming home every day, and all for like months we were just doing the same thing every day, working or whatever we were doing. I come home and I look at my social media, and you guys are performing, and it looked that's why it looks good, because the rest of the world was, or the rest of the country specifically, was just doing the same thing, quite locked in, and you guys were like doing all that and performing on this great set, this great script, all these actors you worked with for years. So I think from that perspective, yeah, you're dead right about the acting perspective. It's tough, but at the same time, I look at it, I'm like, that was one of the rare bits going on in the country. I think you could look back and be like, okay, I did that. It's like my brother, he did his leaving cert, and he was supposed to do it, but he was one of those COVID leaving certs now. He can't do it. He didn't do his leaving cert.
Oh, man.
So I look back on it as you're probably annoyed now, but in years' time, you're going to be telling people that, like, you were the one of those rare kids that didn't do his leaving cert.
I heard of kids giving out about that. That sounds amazing.
You don't have to do your leaving cert. Oh, shucks, damn, I was really looking forward to it.
He was snapping, but I think they were snapping because they put so much effort into it during the year, but at the same time, they're like, you have to do the exams fair. I hate it. Dave's looking at me there to the window like he's angry. He doesn't want anything to do with it.
Why did he do his leaving cert as well this year?
I think he passed it, yeah. I'm not sure.
Hey, well done, man.
He works in Dublin now, so he must have done something right. So, yeah, I think the two of you obviously both very invested in projects you do. Is there anything that, and I'm awful for this, right, and everybody tells me to do it, sit down and write something, sit down and write your own thing. I would sit down with a sheet of paper and I'd write something. I wouldn't just start writing something straight away. I'd write down characters and themes and stuff. 5 minutes later, crumple up, it's in the bin.
Yeah.
Not a sheet of paper. Something else different, crumpled up, it's in the bin. I can't sit down and write something because I automatically tell myself that this is crap, right? And not because I'm not confident, but because I think when you're writing something yourself, you want something that strikes somebody straight away. You can't write a simple story. Is there... And we've just come out of lockdown, so that happened a lot, trust me. Is there anything you guys, obviously, I know you probably write your own things and you probably have certain ideas of things you want to do in the future. Is there anything you guys are working on now that you think has purpose for the future or potential that you guys could?
Do you have anything pressing?
I feel like you kind of guys that always have something going.
I do have things in the back pocket, but I have things in my back pocket for years, mate. I mean,
which pocket?
Yeah.
Well, I sent you a script recently on that you agreed to.
Did
Yes.
I agreed to be a part of?
Did
Yes,
you even read it?
You did. I did, and it's wonderful. But I let you talk about that.
Yeah, it's because we're in lockdown and because obviously COVID has impacted Notes on a Disaster. Like, there's a lot of scenes coming up that we have to, because we're still shooting it, that we need like a hospital for, and we had like locations that before a global pandemic broke out, we might have had a chance getting these locations.
Maybe, yeah.
So for the time being, I'm like, okay, maybe just put, just relax. So what can we do in the meantime?
I don't think anybody's risk assessed a global pandemic before,
Yeah,
so that's totally fair if you don't put that out there.
So what I'm working on with somebody called Owen O'Reilly, who's actually in
I know him,
Disaster. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's a cool guy.
I did Young Offenders with him years ago.
Yes.
Nice.
On the shaky
Big-
bridge, was it?
Yeah, and he was wearing the Christmas jumper in the same.
Oh, he was given a line and he got
actually,
a taken from
sorry,
him.
he did the one with the shaky Brit. I think that was the TV series, and then
And
the
then
Christmas
he's a
special he was
Christmas
with me.
special.
And I remember we were in the they shot it in the hospital in the Mercy Hospital. We were in a room next to it, and they saw Owen, and for some reason they thought he was like a comedic fella, so they slapped a Christmas jumper on him because he had a big beard and he was really quirky before we filmed it, because they had to take like our height in pictures before. And I remember one of the, I guess it was the costume designer, just pointed him and said, "You come here." And 10 minutes later he came back with this big woolly Christmas jumper on him, and he looked like he was literally Father Christmas. So yeah, I know him because I did it with him, and he's some fella, in fairness.
So yeah, I'm basically writing the script with him. The project is untitled as of now, but we were kind of saying, okay, we're in a pandemic, what can we do? So minimal characters, minimal sets. It's basically, you can screen it as part of a feature length or like 7 individual 10-minute vignettes, where it's one character in all 7 parts, but in each one he's in a different location having a different conversation with somebody else under the influence of a different drug. And it's set over 10 years, his 20s, and it kind of charts a slow descent into his addiction through 7 different conversations with 7 different people.
Oh, okay.
And they're even referencing different people. So you can, like, from their conversations, there's story arcs about the people they're talking about as well.
Okay.
So we're kind of influenced mainly by the Royal Family, the sitcom, the BBC sitcom, The Royal Family, not that Crown stuff,
Yeah,
even though The Crown is amazing.
They're all drug addicts in the royal families.
Well, yeah.
Oh, yeah, we found
and,
that out recently.
yeah, and Inside Number 9, I don't know if anybody has seen that show, but I'm a massive fan. So those are 2 kind of main influences. So we're working on that. I hope to shoot the first part, which Leon is in, pretty soon, actually. We just need need a room, 2 actors. And
You
then,
probably get that easy, yeah.
yeah, so I'm kind of working on that at the moment. I'm writing a play as well, but God knows when that's going to be put on.
Yeah. It
So-
was when you approached that, obviously you had did that theme or that specific story, did that come after thinking of 10 different types of stories, or was that one that was always ticking with you for a while before you wrote it?
I was actually inspired by a conversation that my old flatmate had with somebody I used to work with. The 2 of them had this conversation, and I was like, they are talking about 3 totally different things. They were talking about sleeping patterns. They were talking about how one guy's country was very welcoming to the other guy. And they were talking about something, like 3 completely different things. I was like, that's very interesting. How could I write something over like 20 pages or 10 pages that has these 3 totally different topics, but somehow make it work like nice and easily, kind of just go from one topic to the next topic. So I just wrote a piece about that, and I kind of just sat on it for ages. And then I came up with that idea with Owen about somehow having a very similar one, but like 7 different types under 7 different. Like one episode is one part is just a monologue based on Dante's 7 levels of hell.
Unreal.
It's the ketamine episode, like.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah,
And,
I can relate.
It's amazing, yeah. It's amazing how, as you said, you sat on it. You had the idea, but you sat on it for a while. Most ideas that most filmmakers have, they don't go straight into it and write, and it's done, and it's being filmed within a couple of months. Often you'd think those things have been written for years, at least 3 or 4. It's sat on for a while. Like, I know, like, I'm not going to point to the obvious of like your Seth Rogans and stuff who just, that they're constantly writing, and like films that come out, we'll say one comes out this year, they would have been started writing that in 2017, 2016. Like these things have been sat on for ages, and I think like that's what I find hard to do. If I sat on something, if I eventually wrote something and it was there and I put it away for a while, if I came back to it, I feel like I would struggle to, like, I just throw it away because I have this thing in me where it's like it needs to really come out at you from the sheet of paper to say, oh, that looks interesting. But then, as you say, if you sit on it and actually work on it, if it shines out for you, you feel like it has a lot to offer. The way you film it might change that then, or the way you might, how you cast actors, how you know, the cinematography and stuff like that. I feel like that can change it. So I think with ideas like that, if I have them, I need to keep them and then work on them. Don't just disregard them straight away, because some of them have stuff to work with.
Like,
Absolutely.
I would. So my mentality around that would be like, you know, sometimes if you come up with an idea and you write maybe like 80% of a script and you kind of say, I'll come back to that later, you know, like I'll work on that. And you may never come back to it. You may totally forget about it. But then one day you're walking down the street or you have a conversation with somebody in a shop and you kind of go, oh, that's
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
going to put that into that project, and then you kind of find your love for it again, and then that's when you finish it. So I think there's a saying that scripts aren't finished, they're abandoned, or something like that. I think it's an Ernest Hemingway quote. I may be totally. I think I am totally wrong.
When you say script like that aren't worked on, they're abandoned, or they're just not worked on. Is that when they're abandoned, or when they're just done with?
I forget what it is. Is it attributed to editing? Maybe I don't know. I'm completely just ignore that.
Well, I agree with you there in the sense that a lot of those scripts are just like thrown out. People abandon their script before it's even a script. Do you know what I mean? Like, and as I was saying, like about the process, when you sit down, you write a page and you crumple up and you throw it away. Have you told yourself, I'm going to sit down and write something?
Before or after?
Before.
Oh yeah, that's the problem. I sat myself down. I said I'm going to write something, and then I get into it, and then I'm like. It's like I sit down and write something, then I'm very aware that I'm sat down writing something. It's so weird. It's like I'm in this headspace that I'm in work or I'm just doing anything else other than sat down writing. I'm thinking I need to start writing something to just get my mind ticking over and just put ideas on a page. And I sit down and I'm like, not like, oh my God, this is happening, but like I need to, if it's not good right away, it's not good.
You need to produce something.
Yeah.
But you need to keep working on it. I know it's exactly what I need to do. This is just a therapy session. You tell me what to do and I'll do it.
I think personally it's a very bad thing to force yourself to write.
Yeah.
Because you're doing a chore then. You're doing work then, whereas writing should always be enjoyable. Even if it's something heavy that you're writing, it should always be enjoyable. So sometimes I sit down and I'm like, God, I need to do like some writing today, and I don't do it. I never beat myself up because I'm like, it's just you didn't have the mentality that day. And it does come to you. You get that kind of like, I'm going to write. I have a great idea. And you can't wait to put pen to paper. So I think it is a very bad thing to force yourself to write. Now, people may disagree with me, but that was just my own personal mentality.
Yeah, because like you often hear of maybe not even scriptwriters, but even musicians and artists. They sometimes they don't write. They just go around on the day and on their notes in their phone. They might throw one or two things they thought of on the day into their phone, and then they get home that day and they put all that stuff together. So it's not like maybe just sitting down and writing in bulk. You could take little bits from the day or bits from
100%.
a couple of months and then put something together. That's why you hear a lot of people like just writing down in pencil. They might have a sheet of paper they come back to like once or twice a day and just put stuff down that they thought of or they saw, as you said, inspiration from hearing other people talk or listening to other people's conversations, eavesdropping on people. You might just write stuff down and it might come together or something. But yeah, I think that's probably what I should probably start doing. Probably start getting this is just a therapy podcast at this stage. Thanks, lads, for having me. Send me on your iBands and I'll give you the €100 for this.
How are you?
I'm okay.
No, I mean, how are
you?
you?
Can we talk about Minsk? There So yeah, because obviously you're talking about writing. Because I'm always curious. Because when I seen you, Leon, in Dali years ago for Walter A.
Oh yeah.
How much? Because I know Kelby writes all that stuff.
Yeah.
I was wondering, because that project, do you have any writing influence in that stuff or anything? Any of the theatre stuff that you guys? Because I know, as you said, improv can kind of be influenced in a way because you could do something improv-wise and think, oh, that actually works well, and go with that. Is there any bit of that, or is there any bit where you actually sit down in the writing process and go through things?
With Kelby?
Yeah. Because I know you've done a lot of stuff with him and Kisco. And stuff.
And I assisted director to a show or two. I wouldn't say I'd have any effect on the script itself through the writing process, but through the character creation process, Kelby's been great for it, allowing me great freedom, and stuff has come from that. Kelby's amazing in the way they can sit down and a script just falls out. You can start right. They love to write at 11 p.m. till 4 in the morning, and a whole script will come out. The first draft is what Kelby will do, and there's no redraft.
Really?
And to be fair, Kelby's a bit. He was getting a bit precious over his writing in the way, like, I don't want to change too much, and that's understandable, man.
Yeah.
When I was...
you take such a liking to something, yeah, that's
you
fair.
do, and you think, if it's tainted, then if someone else's point of view comes in, is it going to be my point of view anymore, you know? I have to let go of that myself when I write, you know what I mean? Because as you said, the words are 1/10 of the picture. You've 1/10 of a 10-piece puzzle.
Oh yeah.
Sure, you haven't seen the rest of the 9 pieces. I can't tell if a picture's good if I only have one piece. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. There's like 9 other pieces which come down to you, and obviously the people you're working with, where you're performing, what the time is, this, that, and the other, days, weeks before. And I remember seeing you that you were very good in that, especially the ending part. You had me hitting the fields at the end when you were in tears. And I remember walking out with Kyle, and I turned to Kyle. I was like, "Geez, Leon was very good in that." And Kyle wasn't surprised at all. Kyle just goes, "Yeah." He was. Yeah. It's like he knew
so
this
sweet.
was coming all along.
Thanks very much.
So
I appreciate it.
Because I think that was probably the last bit of theatre I've seen, not in a theatre, ironically, but I think that was the last time I've probably seen any bit of theatre, which is mad. It's also something I'd love to go have a go with, and I've only developed the urge to go do it during a global pandemic, so it's not happening. But I look at stuff that you and it's curious because I look at stuff that you and obviously done with Kelby, and then I look at School of Music. I don't look at theatres in there. I think personally that theatre actors invest way more of themselves to stage than they do screen, just like physically, mentally, emotionally. I just think that every part of them goes into it. I think film is more about there's things that film can catch that theatre can't, and vice versa. But I think specifically film, there's more that they can catch. So, is there anything that you guys like? You've both done film and theatre.
Yeah,
sure. I know because you got. I think you had a play lined up before. Was it something I seen something on social media that you were?
I was actually going to be in one of Kelby's plays.
Was that what was the name?
Fuck you, Tyler Durden.
That's the one.
Yeah.
No cursing, by the way. Sorry.
Damn. F you, Tyler Durden.
There's definitely some bleeper effect you can put in.
That's it. Yeah.
I'll show one in myself. Yeah.
Sorry. I've done theatre.
Yeah. So, is there anything that you guys have? Is there any different approaches that you go towards with film theatre? Like when I've done table reads for films, it's always been in a circle or a square, and you're sat there and you're reading opposite the other actor. Whereas I have it in my head that in theatre you can't have a table read. Everybody has to be standing up. You have to be holding the script, and you're nearly flowing with the script in a way.
Yeah.
Is that more of the process? Because I'm curious as to how that side of it works, especially pre-production for theatre.
I think it's like very specific to a character, depending on it. The only differences there, like when it comes to being on a film set, is one with theatre, depending on what stage you're on, the physical nature of profile, and the audience need to see it, and certain shapes will block the audience and change the energy. Whereas I feel if you're on a film set, the camera, it's a lot of the work is up to the camera to catch you. Just be alive in the moment. When I've gone and filmed things, be alive in the moment. Don't worry, we're going to get the shots we need. Don't be thinking about profile or anything like that, because you can feel cardboard. You can feel like you're making a shape. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're only like, it's interesting. People say, "Oh, the differences between theatre and film." I think the differences are is presence and non-presence. You're either there.
A lot more vocal, I think, more usually it's going to be.
Even what I say is like acting. 90% of it can be confidence. If you're confident where you are and just comfortable. I mean, like, look at The Rock, look at fucking Arnold Schwarzenegger. They're not great actors, they're confident people. They can perform, but all it took for them was to just go, I'm confident and I'm comfortable being here. That looks good. But when you see someone who isn't confident on stage or on camera, you can fucking feel it.
Because I think a lot of people get thrown off, especially people who are actually good. I think, say if there's maybe a young actor who's very good and they've never done a film before, they step on set and they see the camera and that makes them nervous.
Yeah.
And then that shows off in the performance then. So yeah, I think there's definitely, confidence is definitely a huge thing, because I think when you're confident, then you know what you're going with in front of the camera. You don't have to overthink anything. So like, and this is why sometimes studying acting is one thing and then going out and doing your own thing is another. So it's the point where, like, if you go and study acting and then you go on your first film set, you've never seen a camera before, really. Like, you've never been on a film set, really. That does affect you. Whereas then if you go and just do freelance and you do as many films as you can, anything that comes your way, you're used to being on film sets, you're used to dealing with directors, other actors, getting to locations here and there. You're used to seeing a camera. So that when you go and study acting, that part of you is safe. It's confident. The confidence is there. So I don't know if you guys feel the same. I just think that it's good to get, when you're studying, you can do that as well. But to get a lot of experience in front of the camera is huge before you know.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I also think you're saying about the theatre versus film. Someone actually, I'm not going to mess up this quote. Somebody who's not famous, just somebody I know. I think I can't remember who it is. They told me, and it makes absolute sense, that television is the writer's medium, film is the director's medium, and stage is the actor's medium. And I think that is quite true, because, you know, when you see a play, you don't kind of walk away and say, God, that was brilliantly directed. You say, you know, that person was great, person was great. Whereas with a film, you say, it's the new Tarantino movie.
Yeah,
even if it's bad, people go see it because it's Tarantino.
There you go.
Yeah. I think that with film, it's all about, you know, the frame. Well, for me, when I see a movie, obviously the lighting's great, the shots are amazing. Whereas with theatre, it's the actor. So I think with theatre as well, it's the amount of rehearsals you have to put in. You can't ad-lib with theatre as well.
Sometimes that's, well, you know, like the ad-lib with theatre is down to presence. If you try and ad-lib while flustered and frustrated, you're going to trip up, man. And I've seen it happen. I've done that myself, where I've jumped like halfway through a scene and then have to go back to the start and then find my way to the end again. But
And you may trip up others as well. That's the thing,
exactly, but luckily I was present, and Dylan Harris at the time, he probably know the story, he was present too, so we managed to find our way back. But I've seen people who tried to ad-lib and their brain the synapse just stopped and they couldn't even come up with a thought, and they were stuck there, you know.
Nerves comes in then
Nerves
as well.
comes out, you know. What I say about the camera, just to go back to the theatre and film thing, is the camera is the audience, their eyes can burn into you. But the audience can be easily fooled by lights and music and distraction. The camera's eye captures everything. Yeah. And they won't forget.
And you can press
see it going
rewind.
You can press rewind, you can have a look again. So when we did that, when we did Love and Information, because we were under so much time constraint, we got one take of one scene, right? And when Regina said, "Okay, you're done," I goes, "Oh no, we're not." I said, "We only did this once, man." Because there's no way we can walk. I goes, "For your own sake, for the sake of production, you let me walk out that door. I can tell you with confidence I did a bad job." Do you know what I mean? Like,
first take is never the best one,
Nah, you need to get the rust off it, man. You know, like when I do theatre, I show up to the theatre an hour early. I just sit around in the space. Now I do my stretching and my warm-ups about half an hour beforehand. But I just sit there and get comfortable, so I'm not walking into some kind of battlefield that I'm not used to, you know. That's what Love and Information was like. Walk in the door, step into that box, and I'm like, I wasn't here for an amount of time that made me comfortable. And you're going to see it, like, and you're not going to be granted that every time either. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Particularly in this game, patience is the most important aspect of being an actor. Sitting, waiting until you're called, confident that you're able to do your job like a fireman, like a police officer. When they get the phone call, it's an emergency, time to go. When you get called to do your scene, it's an emergency, it's time to go. Are you prepared to do that, you know?
Yeah, I think I think as you mentioned, the messing up, that's one thing anybody I've asked about theatre, they said it will happen to you. It's a rite of passage that you will screw, not just in rehearsal, but on stage. It'll happen. It's part of it. And that's Tim, I was talking to Tim about recently, he'll be on the next episode, he was saying that I was asking about theatre, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I really want to get into it," and he was like, phew. And I was like, "Why is that?" He's like, "You will, if you want to get into it, you're immersing a lot of your life into something, and then if, as you said, if you mess up, it can be breaking."
Oh yeah.
Especially if you're doing, maybe if you're final year project and it's opening night and you mess up then after all the months of hard work. And I'm sure you wouldn't have done it, but it does happen to people.
That's it.
And I'd have that fear then it would happen to me as well. It's like this in my head where I'm like, oh God, because I've never done it before and it would definitely happen to me. So
and it's not a fear that's like, what I'd say is, oh, this might happen to me. This will happen to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you learn how to ride a bike, you're going to fall off the fucking thing. You know what I mean, man? That's how it works.
I have actually, you've mentioned a few times now, Leon, about Love and Information, about the box. And I saw the set. Was that a set designer's choice, or was it Regina's idea in the fact that there was a lack of a stage, quote unquote, because there was lack of an audience? And when you walk on stage, you are the character. That's it. You are the character. You walk on stage. And there was really no stage because there's no audience, because you have to have an audience to have a stage. Yeah. So was the box constructed so that when you walk in, that's when you enter the character? Do you get what I mean?
Absolutely. The box was this new kind of space that once it just took one step over, a quarter of an inch of metal, you were inside a whole new world. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But the problem was, for me, is a stage is wonderful because you have the sides, right? You're in the wings. You have the back wall behind you, which is a border, so your energy is beaming out. But when you step into that box, it's this whole space around you, and you're told to look towards the camera. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even though I could feel all that empty space behind me, and on stage, in a regular proscenium arch or something like that, a regular stage, you can fill that space.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like I was able to fill that entire box or that entire stacked theatre with my energy, because there was no borders there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I felt like I was in kind of like a black hole.
Literally trapped in a box. Literally.
Trapped in a box.
But I think, because you've been used to the theatre set up your whole life, that any change is just like, no one likes change.
And look, I know,
especially with theatre, because it's like, it's just the same setup for every way it goes. Every theatre actor knows that there's the stage, and if you fuck with any of it, it can throw any actor. No,
and that's good though.
I'm not speaking from personal experience. I'm just assuming from what you guys are telling me that's what it is.
Yeah, when you get thrown, man, that's when you get put to the test, and that's my favourite part of theatre. When I'm on stage, man, and someone scuffs their line or they drop a prop, I love witnessing how they react. I once saw a woman, she dropped her locket and it slid all the way down right next to my foot inside the Granary Theatre, and I watched her and she just looked back to her hand and pretended it was in her hand, And I was like,
Oh.
just walk over and pick it up. You're a human
Yeah.
being. If you dropped your locket, wouldn't you walk over and pick it up?
Yeah.
But as any John Whitty would say, he goes, you can make a cup of tea, Leon, can't you? I was like, yep. He goes, if I asked you to go up on stage and make a cup of tea, would you be able to do it? Absolutely. And you go up and you're like, fucking, how'd you make tea again, mate?
Yeah, so weird the fact you're on
'Cause
stage.
Everyone's looking at you.
Because
Yeah.
I've only been told as well that like if you're so in the moment and in the character that if something happens, it shouldn't be a problem.
You will react
That you react in the character.
in the character.
There's
yeah.
no issue. Yes, that you should get to that point, I think, but as well, you can't just ignore the fact that you're very aware that it has happened. So
Yeah.
it maybe you get like 0.5 seconds where you realize it, but you have to go straight back in, and then as you said with you and Dylan, whatever happens, but you should find your way back. And I think if
Yeah.
you're working opposite someone who you know well for years, outside the character, if you've been in college for 4 years, you naturally get that anyway because you know each other. Whereas if you're working with someone you don't know what their improv is like, you don't know how good they are at it, you don't know how nervous they are. Whereas if you're friends with somebody, that's what's great about knowing the cast. That should work fine.
Absolutely.
That's why rehearsals are so important because that will happen in rehearsals, and you will forget your lines in rehearsals. You know, there's weeks, sometimes months of rehearsals.
Yeah.
And personally, I think that if you put in a lot of work in the rehearsals, that's not a problem. Then when it happens on stage,
know that
you
damn
will
script,
react
man.
in
Just know that
character,
damn script, right? Like an explorer that's going, that's going on a route that's well known. If they go off course, they have that map. They know it so well that we know to get back, naturally improvise, get back on that course.
Street smarts.
When me and fucking Dylan got lost in that moment, two of us were like, "Where's that map, man? Okay,
Yeah.
we're here.
Yeah.
Let's course back here." You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so important.
So yeah, because this is the Film Junkies podcast, by the way. I know we're talking about theatre for the last like half an hour. But yeah, no, because when I say being immersed in character and stuff, and then comparing to film and theatre, I just find it interesting that like I've always thought that because of the presence on stage, and I seen you and stuff, and obviously it just looks like you're a lot more invested than you would be in camera. Camera is about moments and capturing those little details on your skin and little hairs on your face
Yeah.
that the theatre won't see. So yeah, that's what film and theatre was. Like, next thing I want to ask you, totally different change of topic now.
Here we go.
So we're talking about it outside for a bit. Well, we weren't talking about it; it was just brought up.
Is that the coffee machine? Is it?
Yeah. How much does that cost? I want to buy it off you because I know you sold
I
some.
don't know. I used not anymore.
Oh, well, I was just gonna say, obviously coming out of lockdown for the third time in a row, everybody's subscribing to all these online stuff. Is there anything that you guys, obviously you talked about Chernobyl and you talked about different things here and there. You've only started watching The Mandalorian. Is there anything that took your eye in the last year online that you didn't expect to take your eye? Be it a TV show, be it a film that's been released, because everything went to online streaming because
Yeah.
of the cinemas and stuff.
Yeah.
Was there anything that took your eye that you didn't expect to be such a fan of? in
I
the
was
last year?
blown away by like nothing in the mainstream. We'll say nothing in the mainstream. The Fascinate Film Festival.
Yeah.
I was just blown away by the quality of stuff that
Th-
was
this year's one.
This year, yeah. I could not believe the quality of stuff. I really
some of the
was
stuff is
taken aback.
superb.
There was an animation called Her Song about an animated story about the history of the Banshee in Ireland, and I was like blown away. I actually won the award for best animation. But like TV wise, I'm very on and off. I have like this natural disliking of when everyone is promoting a show. Everyone. I didn't watch Making a Murderer. I didn't watch
Really?
Queen's Gambit. I didn't watch any of this because
I waited for a while until Queen's Gambit the boat's over, and I watched it and I actually liked it. But if
Yeah.
I watched it with all the hype was
Yeah.
over, I'd feel like I'd be watching it with 2 or 3 other people over my shoulder who are not there, but they'd be like, "Isn't that good? Isn't that good?"
Yeah.
Poking me like, "Isn't that good? Wasn't that good?" I was like, At the time, it would have been like, "Can I just watch it?" And it's actually a good show. I thought it was good.
Here's one that I haven't heard anyone else talk about. Catch 22. It's a Hulu original. Do you know Hulu Plus? Is it that American thing, right? I ended up streaming it. Catch 22, based on the book. Unbelievable TV show. 6 episodes, limited series. That really took my eye. Other than that, I'm more for rewatching stuff.
Oh yeah.
Trailer Park Boys.
I watched Rango last night before I filmed
Beautiful.
this.
Watched that the other day as well with my small fella.
One of the most underrated masterpieces
Yeah.
ever. One of the best films I take Pixar and Disney away from it. Best animated film I've ever seen.
Me and my buddy made an argument that that's Johnny Depp's best role.
Honest to God.
Yeah.
And it's so underlooked. It's such a good movie.
That's
Have you seen
it.
it, Rango?
No.
Right. You just get him out there. Cut his
You're on
mic.
the Film Junkies podcast. You know
Doors
that,
there,
right?
bro. No, because I think I watched it because the soundtrack is so good. There's a certain song in it that's like, I think the older you get, the more you watch it, the more you relate to it. It's madness.
Yeah.
And and there's like a small little Clint Eastwood kind of cameo and word a reference to him with the Spirit of the West. I like
That's
that.
right, yeah.
But so. Because you were talking about Chernobyl outside as well, and you were talking about my Mandalorian. You're not a Star Wars fan, but you watched anyway.
No.
Is that one of the surprises that you'd say that like?
Actually, no. The big surprise. There's two big surprises for me. The first big surprise was that my housemate started showing me a show called Four in a Bed, which
Right.
is a Channel 4 show, which is basically like Come Dine With Me, but they just review B&Bs. And I was like, this is going to be shocking. And I like watched all like 103 episodes or something. It's addictive when they all start bitching with each other. So that's trash TV.
Oh,
Like,
that's what
I
I
was
say,
like,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
I'm going to love this.
It's real people, yeah. It's
Yeah.
fun to watch. Yeah.
The other one was at The Crown, because I don't like the royal family, you know, like I don't like that whole
You're
monarchy idea. And everybody, a few of my friends were like that as well. They don't like the monarchy. They don't like. I love the screenwriter of The Crown, Peter Morgan. I liked all his other show, Frost Nixon, Last King of Scotland, you know, all his other ones. He's pretty prolific. Like, come on. And
that movie with that guy.
yeah, that one.
That's class.
And but all my friends who don't like the monarchy either, they watched The Crown and they told me, no, you got to watch this. And I was like, bollocks. But until I read an interview with Peter Morgan, and he wrote The Queen, and he wrote a play about the Queen as well before The Crown of the Queen came along. And in the interview, he was asked, you keep writing about the royal family. Why do you love the royal family? And he said, I write about the royal family because I hate the royal family. And I was like, all right, you have me.
That's great
The
inspiration.
Crown is fantastic.
Yeah.
It is really,
And you
really
mentioned
good.
earlier, man, Inside Number 9.
That's one of my favourite shows.
I
Like,
don't
saw
hear
them
enough
live.
people talk about it, but that's unreal. They're phenomenal. Like Inside Number 9 is like a comedian's perspective on Black Mirror.
Yeah.
The situations they take, because Black Mirror takes the potential very small step to where society could be through the use of technology. Inside Number 9 takes it from the perspective of the decisions humans could make with one small step. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Like, do you remember there's an episode where a famous guy comes to see this.
This Black Mirror.
This is Inside Number 9.
Okay.
A very ill child, and he's in the back room and he's blowing up balloons for this ill child.
yeah.
And he blows up this huge balloon. He hands it to the kid, and the kid holds it. But then the famous guy has a cardiac arrest. So rather than calling the ambulance and all that, the family and the famous guy's agent start discussing how much can we sell his last breath for. Could we fill up more balloons and pretend it's more? But humans, we're all capable of that
That's
stuff, and I think
mad,
that's
you
why
know?
it is, and you might consider it because you're talking hundreds of like this guy's Michael
Yeah.
Jackson famous,
Yeah.
and this is his last breath inside a balloon. How much would people pay for that? And would you give a shit about his corpse on the ground if you were in that situation? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's actually darker than Black Mirror, I think.
Really?
Yeah, at times
Because there's
definitely,
some
yeah.
episodes that are actually genuinely dark. So, have you even heard of Inside Number 9?
No, I haven't.
So the
Great.
premise
on
is
Netflix as well. Yeah,
not
yeah.
anymore.
Not anymore.
It was taken off, yeah,
Damn,
because the new season is airing at the moment, so it's
Oh, you're
taken
right.
off Netflix.
Where is it airing? Is it British TV?
BBC.
show?
British TV, yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay.
It's the same writers and same makers, Steve Pemberton and Rhys Shearsmith, who did The League of Gentlemen and Psychoville, which are great shows.
They're
as
great
well.
as well, yeah.
And it's an anthology series, so each episode is totally different, but they're in each episode. Each episode is a totally different genre as well. So you have comedy, you have musical, you have like the kitchen sink drama. Each episode has a massive twist. So when you're watching, like, what's the twist? What's only like a half an hour, but each one revolves around the number 9 somehow. A house number 9, a shoe which is size
okay,
number
okay.
9.
Yeah,
That's cool, yeah.
Yeah.
Just a reference of
Genius.
it. Because I've seen Black Mirror loads. There was obviously that everybody that was drawn into the Bandersnatch episode where you could decide where the episode went. And then there was people that I knew that thought, every Black Mirror episode was like that. So like they watched the first one, they watched the Bandersnatch one, and they were like they could click what he wanted to say, kind of like that game The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
You could just decide
By
where.
Telltale.
Yeah, you could just decide how the story goes by the choices you make. Everybody thought that was the whole Black Mirror, so they went on the second episode and they were waiting for like the stuff to come up, and now it's coming up, and people were getting so like they were like, we went on last night and I couldn't decide anything. They were all doing it for themselves. Like, yeah, that's called a TV show.
Just play a video game if you love
Yeah,
that episode so
exactly,
much.
man, yeah.
So it's like, I'll check that one though. It's Inside Number 9. I was gonna say, yeah, about what I was gonna say. I can't remember what I was gonna say. You guys talking.
Has anyone ever watched Danger 5?
No.
Can I bring this up, man? Danger 5 it's an Australian.
Did you say it outside? Well, you might have, but go on. Anyway.
It was a TV show I watched a few years back, right? And it's Australian TV, but they're American soldiers, a crew called Danger 5, and it's a show set during World War II as if it was made in the 70s in America. So you've got like their boss is a guy in a suit, but his head is an eagle's head. They got all these stupid, like, American-made gadgets, you know. Every time they try and get Hitler, he jumps through a window and escapes. It's genius. And I swear to God, no one's heard of it. If there's one show you can take away today, Danger 5, every season they change. So, first it's World War II, as if it was made in the 70s. And then it's the Cold War, as it was made in the 80s.
I can't see Simon's face. I can tell he's just staring and looking at you.
I tell you,
I'm like, this sounds
They're
interesting.
blown away there.
Oh
like.
man, because no one's heard of it. Only me and my buddy watched it, and I tell you, what a genius idea for now in the modern era, the postmodernist era, to be able to look back and understand it. Imagine going, let's make a World War II propaganda show as if we were filmmakers in the 70s.
Yeah.
And they're taking coke and they're fucking, there's disco shit going on. It's brilliant. I
It's
swear.
mad, yeah, because it's like when you like that. I would never have heard of that now. And it's like when you're in lockdown, you think you've watched everything. There's always something that someone knows that is very good that will catch your eye. There you go. There you go.
Sorry, I know what the best shows I've seen during lockdown. People just do nothing.
People just do
That was the
nothing.
best
I
show.
thought that was a dig at everybody here. People just do nothing.
A lot of people don't know about this series, and
I
it's
know, yeah.
so good.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And I've family in London, and when I text them, I was like, man, have you seen People Just Do Nothing? And they were like, yeah, 8 years ago when it fucking came out, you know.
By family, you mean Kyle Moss, yeah?
Yeah,
So-
but it's like it's England's Trailer Park Boys. It's England's Hardy Bucks. They're a bunch of muppets trying to do pirate radio called Corrupt FM, and they just try and be like grime rappers, and they're terrible at what they do, like, you know what I mean? But gee, it's mockumentary. Do you like mockumentary style?
Yeah, I don't have some
Brilliant,
before,
done fucking
There's a
fantastically.
movie
well.
coming out.
That's right.
August, I think.
Yeah, like one of their tunes becomes popular in an area in Japan.
Yeah,
and they go
the
over to
game
a
show
world
use
tour.
one of their songs like bang, lyrical blow to the jaw.
Bang! I love it, babe.
Would you? Do you watch Hardy Bucks?
Yeah.
Would you be a fan?
I've never seen it.
You've never seen it.
No.
I always know
deep.
people either love it or hate it.
I've seen clips. I'm more of a fan of what they do rather than the actual material itself. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, yeah.
I'm a fan of the idea of taking off rural Ireland and what these people think. Because I grew up with a lot of these people, men in their fucking late 20s, early 30s, who were still acting like young fellas by they're drinking cans at 12 o'clock in the day, lifting weights and
Cash
all
time,
that
yeah.
fucking, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, it's because like I remember watching because I've seen the show. I actually like. I think it's hilarious. To be honest, it's just they're not even making jokes. It's who they are, and they know that there's subtlety. And the actor, what's the ginger fella, the lead actor? I can't remember his name. He's English.
Eddie Durkin's a character.
Yeah,
he?
he's English.
He's an Englishman, yeah.
When you hear him talk,
yeah.
there's a bit of an English and Irish accent between, but he is more of a strong English accent. I heard him talk. I was like, what?
Mental.
Because he gets the character so spot on. But I heard the character stateside, the long hair. And
Yeah.
apparently they had the show on RT for a while. Apparently they had some trouble keeping him on the show for one reason, just he couldn't act. Like his acting was awful. But that is why
That's why
it's good. It's because half of them really aren't acting. It's so budget and it's so Castletown that it fits so well and everybody finds it hilarious. It's basically a mockumentary.
That's, and think about this as well.
Yeah.
Nomadland won fucking Best Picture, and half the people in it aren't actors.
Oh,
Chloe
yeah.
Zhao, or I
Pretty
think that's how
boring
pronounced her
film
name.
though.
did you?
You for real?
It's very boring.
Did you not like it?
I thought I didn't think it was boring, but I didn't think it was like unbelievable.
Oh
which most
man,
people
see
call it.
that's
Did
it.
you
I
like
was just
it?
taking it, and normally I mightn't be like, but I thought Frances McDormand's
Oh,
acting
she's unbelievable, man. She's
phenomenal.
very good. Yeah.
And the fact that those were real nomads, that the people that she was talking to were real nomadic people,
it was real.
that Chloe Zhao, the director, asked to just come in and be a part of
Bro,
it and tell their stories.
Bro, they were very. If they were just speaking off their own experience, that's ridiculous.
And that's exactly what it is. So the next time you watch Nomadland, understand that the people that Frances McDormand interacts with aren't actors; they are real people.
Jeez, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That must have cost them. That must have saved them a lot of money.
So,
Because I was thinking, there's a lot of
$50
actors here. Like this seems big budget. There was another actor in it as well. The tall, fair-haired guy. What's the actor's name? He what was he in years ago? That was very famous. But I think he's the only one I recognised.
I think there is only a handful of actual paid actors in it.
That's the thing. So I'm guessing what you're telling me. That's crazy.
Next time you watch it, just think, and the people's stories about like losing their partners, and they have cancer themselves, and they're just going out to travel America in their last few days. When you hear that, understanding that they're real people, and what they're saying is not scripted, it hits home, man. I was in bits watching that movie.
It cost $5 million to make.
$5 million.
How much do you think that made? Just check it there now. I'm not that good. I don't have my fingers off hard. No, man, it cost $5 million to make. I mean, that must have made at least triple that in the box office.
100%. And after winning the awards and stuff like that, by $5 million only. And when you watch it, the cinematography was spectacular.
Yeah.
I thought for a fact this had to be a massive budget, you know what I mean? Like, but there you go, art being created with a minimal budget, you know what I mean? Like,
it made
19.5
19.5 million.
Jesus, man.
Man, that's
Fair
insane
play.
turnover for them.
Am I the only person who thinks it's boring?
This is where. Do you want me to get 2 sticks and you can just fight and I can sit back and record?
Did
this?
anybody see Judas and the Black Messiah?
No, actually. Daniel Kaluuya won
Any
Best Supporting Actor.
Yeah, it's excellent.
Yeah, I was going
It's
to try and
excellent.
watch. Is it like Keith Steinfeld as well?
He is, yeah. Like, the less you
Man,
know
just
about
get
it,
that
the
look,
better.
yeah.
Because it's historically accurate what actually happened. So the less you know about it, the better. But I'd highly
There's a
recommend
great.
it.
I haven't seen the film, but there's a great trailer. There's a trailer with the great scene in it of him. I think he's talking. You can murder a revolutionary. You can't murder a revolution. I seen him talk, and I was like, "Jeez, this guy is so powerful."
Yeah.
Tense,
I've always rated him ever since he was in Johnny English 2. That's when I knew. I was like, this guy.
was great, though. Yeah.
If he's acting off Rowan Atkinson, he cannot fail.
He's the guy who holds the thing to his neck, isn't he? Yeah, Black Mirror.
It's mad you see where actors come from. You look back and like, oh, geez, yeah, he was in that. Like, I didn't even know Jack Quaid from The Boys was in The Hunger Games.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
You're dead right.
And I seen it the other day. No, don't ask me why I was watching The Hunger Games. But it was on Netflix. And
Why were you watching The Hunger Games?
I just love the film.
Yeah.
I seen him running with. He's like part of that gang. It's just mad to think about where actors come from, everything that they've done before, and then you see them faces in. If they might have blown up like The Boys is huge. I don't know if you've seen the show.
Oh, I
The
love
Boys is excellent.
Unbelievable.
Homelander is one of the best characters.
Oh,
Yeah,
he's such a
Anthony
good-
Starr, and Anthony Starr, I saw him first in a Banshee, a Cinemax, or Skinemax as it's known in the States, original, where it was just sex, gore, violence, and I thought, he's standing out. That actor's really standing out. I hadn't seen him for years. Boom, he becomes Homelander, and that was the best, in my mind, the best take on a superhero ever.
Oh, he's
He
so
really
good, yeah.
got the power back, because, I
Especially
mean,
second season, I thought he was
come
so
on, like,
good.
if you had that power, would it not get to your head every now and then? Do you know, if you
Hmm.
were raised in a lab and always told you were different?
I was actually watching an interview with him, and it was a cool interview where he's just sitting down drinking whiskey with a guy, and they were saying, he said that look, you're terrifying as Homelander. He said, how do you get to that level of just scary and making the audience feel uncomfortable? And he said he never once read Homelander as a threatening character. He read him as like an off the wall, over the top comedic character, and that's how he started to play him. And because he played him so over the top and exaggerated, he started being very, very menacing.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's
Yeah,
very interesting that that's how he approached the character.
Yeah.
I think because he's playing it over the top, and then some of the stuff he does in the script is so gruelingly cynical, and then he's like that elsewhere. That puts that menacing side on him. If he's so like, if I was here talking to you and I'm lovely and friendly, but at home I have 2 bodies in my basement,
Yeah.
that's cynical. That's like when you step back from that, that's like fucking hell.
Or that whole milk stuff.
What you say with milk?
Remember Homelander in the milk?
Oh yes.
Oh,
man,
yeah, man.
unfortunately I remember that now.
It's actually so menacing. It is. I was like, there's scenes to watch where you're fading away from TV. You're like, geez, that's mad. What's going on?
Yeah.
But why did I bring up The Boys? Oh yeah, Jack Quaid, because Jack Quaid was in it. So yeah, there you go. But yeah, it's cool to see where, because it's cool to see where actors have come from. And obviously, if they with Nomadland, that's crazy. They didn't, they weren't paid actors because they were very good. I thought.
Yeah.
But obviously, then that comes from the realism. If you're portraying something that's real, it's natural to you. So you know they were so invested in the character because they are who they are.
Yeah.
But you thought it was boring.
What, The Boys?
Nomadland.
Oh, Nomadland. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was like
Yeah.
when you watched it, did you not think like the cinematography was good?
Oh
Francis
no, I thought
McDormand?
the cinematography was fantastic. I thought Francis McDormand is brilliant. But for me, it always boils down to the plot of a film.
Okay.
Is this a good plot?
Yeah.
And, you know,
I can be
there's been
sold.
documentaries done like that
I
already.
think
Yeah,
the film
it's
was
more
focused on, as you
documentary
said, the people that she was meeting. The film was focused on them, not on her.
Yeah.
But she carried it well, I think.
Oh, she did. She all.
It
all
was.
of
I didn't
her
think it was
face.
absolutely groundbreaking, unreal, but I definitely didn't think it was boring. I thought it was actually a nice watch.
I thought it was a great idea, particularly to say it again, the postmodernist era, for us to always be looking back on film styles and whatnot.
Huh?
55, we're flying through it. Fair play.
All right, 5 minutes. Finish point then, and I'll tell you to fuck off.
But it's
that voice.
it was different, you know, because we're seeing so much of the same stories, and I think we're kind of falling back into surrealist, dadaist kind of filmmaking that are kind of going to be hitting the mainstream soon. Though I don't think you'll ever get rid of the likes of Fast 9 and Fast 10 and all these things, and I understand that because they play well on the human
kids.
body and young kids. Most of my people I know who are car heads, they're nearly 30. And they're
love
all,
it.
I can't wait to see Fast 9.
Fast
man.
57.
Best movie
And
ever,
it's
boy.
because there's good cars and it's loud and there's babes in it, you know what I mean?
And they
Like,
always bring it up to you as if it's like such an emotional movie. It's heartbreaking.
It's
Did
all
you
about
ever-
family, kid.
Yeah.
And they play that song at the end, and they're just driving in slow motion, and then Paul Walker comes up, and then they see him
that's
for
it.
5 minutes, and he drives off, and then it's like Fast and Furious will return or something like that. I don't know. It's been a while since I've seen a Fast. I watched the first 2, and I thought they were actually good because it's all about cars and racing, and then next when they're driving up the Empire State Building to fight Batman. I don't know what is happening in those films.
What?
That's pretty much what happens, man.
There's loads of skits on YouTube where they like do mocks of like what the writing looks like, the rooms, and they're like, okay, so we have cars. He drives up the Empire State Building into space, and he fights Thanos. And it's like, and they're all like, yes,
cool.
500 million, bang, there you go.
He's
make a
getting chased
movie.
by the Rock. Oh yeah, we'll watch this.
Cool. So yeah, we've got 5 minutes left. That's a bit sad. That flew though, didn't it?
It does.
I
Yeah,
told you
that's,
it flies.
and I was going to say that to you, and I was like, fuck it, an hour. I was like, man, I could talk to you for 3 or 4.
If I could do 4 hours, I could, but it's not in my budget, unfortunately. Yeah. So, boys, cheers. Thanks for coming on.
No
Thank you
problem
for
at all.
having
My
us.
pleasure, but yeah.
Yeah, I think I covered everything on. Obviously, you guys are both very sound fellas. I think you like each other.
We do.
Sure, buddy.
At the end
no,
of the day.
but in your own time, you can fuck off. Okay?
All right. Thank you.
Cheers,
Thanks very
boys.
much, Dave.
Thanks for having me
Appreciate
on.
it.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.